It was like a wall. I was at the center, at the Tiananmen Square. I heard gunshots from all places.
Whatever means necessary.
Attack on the defenseless tens of thousands of students.
No one knows how many people have died in the crackdown. We may never know.
The army moved in with a vengeance, at some points firing into the crowd before they actually got to the square.
The Chinese Red Cross estimates that between 2,000 and 2,500 people have been killed this weekend.
In Beijing, they cried for the dead.
My name is Fengsuo Zhou. I was a Tiananmen student leader in 1989.
There has never been a challenge to the leadership of Communist China like this one.
That's when I started my journey as an activist. 35 years ago, I went to Tiananmen Square to lay a flower wreath for Hu Yaobang, who died as a symbol for reform and openness in China.
Purged by Communist Party hardliners 2.5 years ago for his liberal views.
I was a physics student, but I was a voracious reader. I was very interested in our social issues. Even before this protest, I was running the broadcast station at the center of Tiananmen Square. Every day, hundreds of thousands of people would come to Tiananmen Square. It's like all of a sudden, like the repressed words in people's heart, like burst out. We all had this feeling that freedom was within reach.
The students want democracy, freedom.
The protest, even though it was led by the students, it was widely supported from all walks of society. The protest was very peaceful. At some time, even the police were joining us.
In some cases, the students and the soldiers were singing together.
It was a place for family, not a place for the brutal violence.
Late in the evening, Premier Li appeared on nationwide television to announce that the situation was out of control and that the army was being called in to restore order.
Last night, Chinese army troops were sent into the capital to crush what the government called a small band of hooligans and gangsters.
Through the night, there was so much shooting, so many people wounded, so many people dead.
They fired automatic weapons into crowds of citizens who, for the most part, could fight back with nothing more than rocks and bottles. It is difficult not to use the word massacre to describe what happened.
Even when the tanks were coming in, they were being shot at. People were trying to help each other.
The students used what they had, rocks sometimes swords.
People were standing in front of tanks so that they could block the troops, so that people like us could be protected. This kind of courage, that's what we must remember.
Despite the continuing killing, civilians resist with sticks and stones and raw courage and rage.
As the wounded people being carried on vehicles on people's shoulder, I saw 40 bodies in a bicycle garage outside of a hospital, because the hospital was so overwhelmed with the people who died or wounded that they had to place these bodies outside.
And there are now credible reports of soldiers who have set their own vehicles on fire and withdrawn in disgust at making war on their own people.
That's how later the world realized what's happening. By looking at the image, like the tankman and the goddess of democracy.
They dragged down the statue of the goddess of democracy.
That was the situation, and that's what the world remembers, and the CCP has been trying to erase from memory.
No one knows the death toll, even today. Estimates run from several hundred to over 10,000.
After the Tiananmen massacre, the government issued most wanted list of the student leaders I saw myself as number 5, I was surprised, but I was also proud, profoundly at this, because I believe in what I went through, what I did was justified, was also what I'm willing to give up everything for. I was in Qincheng prison for a year. We were treated even worse than the normal criminals. I was handcuffed 3 months non-stop. I was never given enough food. While I was there for a year, I was let out less than 10 days to see the outside, to breathe in the fresh air. I was sick for most of the time. I was released at about the 1-year anniversary, and after that I was denied passport for a few years until 95. I was given passport and allowed to leave China. So I came to the United States in 95. I was able to start my own human rights organization, Humanitarian China. After coming here, I realized there's a very strong influence here to legitimize the CCP regime. And that's what I have been fighting against since I came to the United States. I think free speech, it's God-given. It's just natural. But for us, we learned it from the negative side, because when I grew up, every day we were taught about what to talk about, what not to talk about, what to think, what not to think.
200 students started a hunger strike, marching through Beijing.
For me, any regime that restricts free speech means they have something to hide, because that's the only way for us to communicate, to know the truth, to learn from each other by free speech.
What we want is only the democracy, only the freedom of the speech.
Of course, on the other side, Communist China has been very successful, for example, in indoctrinating Chinese people, especially after Tiananmen Massacre, the middle class, into believing that free speech doesn't matter.
Soldiers appeared in the streets around Tiananmen Square, where thousands of students are...
Tiananmen is important because it's hope. It was the moment that we realized and the world witnessed that Chinese people love freedom and democracy.
Columns of tanks occasionally rove out of the city center, often firing wildly at civilians.
And they are so willing to sacrifice their life for it.